Hi again. All right, so we are about to start phase two or stage two of the 2018 Jaguar F-type R audio upgrade. Uh, the first stage was removing the three-way OEM speakers in the front doors and in the panels here. And we've done that. We've created speaker adapters or O-rings or whatever you'd like to call them. We deadened the doors pretty solidly, about a 98% coverage. And we've reinstalled the doors. Everything is good. Checked the audio, checked all the speakers. Everything is great. The only issue that we are going to run into is polarity of speakers, the plus and minus on each one. All the wiring and the doors are black. There's no color coding. There's no information on this, so it's going to be definitely exploratory, and we're going to have to do quite a few things to make sure. We're going to use some equipment to check out the polarity of the speakers. And anyways, so in this phase two, we are going to pop off. I'm not sure if I can move this seat forward. No, not without the key. We're going to pop off the entire back area here. This behind the seats, this whole upper plastic panel. This is where the stock audio amplifier and the Sirius and navigation and all that stuff is back there. And we're going to pop it off. We're going to tap into the MOST fiber optic wire. And I'm going to show you some equipment in the next video of how we're going to accomplish sound from that. We're also going to take all our wires that are going to the speakers in the doors and run them all the way to the back. So we're also going to have to remove all the paneling from in the trunk area. I've already removed some to get to the battery. But all this lovely carpeting is going to come out, and we're going to check the best way to run wire back here. All the amps will be sitting all back there. All the equipment will be sitting back there. We'll build something in a way later date to make it all look pretty. But this is essentially stage two. So the fiber optics, digital signal processor, and the amplifier, and all the wiring that's done along with that. I'm going to come back in just a moment with a video on the equipment that I am using. Okay. So this is the equipment that I'm using in the audio upgrade in the Jaguar 2018 Jaguar F-type R. There's three main units here. Obviously, there's going to be some other smaller things like power terminals, ground terminals, speaker wire, clips, clamps, and all that great stuff. But this is really the heart of everything that's going to make this car sound phenomenal. So I'm going to start with this one here. I decided to go Audison because I've had some good experiences, some good sound coming from Audison equipment. However, I did step it up a little bit with the amp, and I'll get into that in just a moment. I will also mention that during the whole speaker install, I didn't mention what speakers I'm using. In the front staging of the car, the front speakers, so 6 in total, I'm using something called Morale Titanium Elat 903s, and the 9 stands for the size of the subwoofer, and the 03 stands for a 3-way configuration. So those are the 3 speakers. I went with that set because it best suit the install for my car. There's a lot of bass that's going to come out of the 9-inch woofers in the front. A lot of cars that are built like this with the same sort of technology is going to be like Porsche. I've had a few Porsches in the past, and they all have the same kind of subwoofer in the front door, and all the sound is coming from there. So that's what made me go with that. They're a pretty high-end speaker. I believe there's another line that's above that titanium Elat. However, they don't come with a 9-inch subwoofer. They come with 6s or 5s. So I decided to go that route. First time using them, so they're an Israeli company. They build all their product in Israel, and they have a really good reputation and name. So let's get to this equipment here. This is the first piece. This is going to be the heart of the install. So this piece here, it's called a bit DMI, Digital Most Interface. Essentially what this does is it takes the signal, the fiber optic signal that's coming from the head unit, and translates the language, all the audio, all the information, and translates it to a Toslink or digital optical output. This is in my opinion, for cars that are equipped with these systems, and most are these days, the best way to maintain audio signal to your DSP and amplifier. This is going to eliminate line level noise, grounding noise. It's just ones and zeros and lights flashing on and off to transfer the information to the DSP, which I'll get into in a second. Might be a little bit of a challenge, as the compatibility for these things doesn't quite say 2018 is in there. It does say that 2013, which is the first year of my car, plus. So I really have my fingers crossed here. The alternative way is to take the output of the amplifier, which are already amplified signals, have a bunch of characteristics tuned to the car, run it through another special processor called a JL fix, and fix it all and make the sound linear, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I didn't want to go that route, so I'm really putting all my eggs in this basket. So I do hope this works, and it'll make me very happy. So this is kind of the heart of the whole operation and the install. So this will be installed there. The next piece we have is called Audison Bit 1. I did get this used. They make a new version called a Bit 1 HD. It runs faster bus processing and signal, but at the end of the day, the sound quality should be exactly the same. Once again, it's all digital. We're not going to be going digitally. We're not going to be going analog into this unit. We're going to take that optical output from the Bit 1 DMI and throw it into this this lovely unit. This lovely unit right here. And as you can see, there's lots and lots of connections and functions, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on here. It's the brain of everything. It does a lot of work. So essentially, when this is put in, it'll take the digital signal that's coming in, and I will be able to do things like time align, so set speaker delays from the left side to the right side, EQ the car so that it's optimal and that it's kind of set on a slope that's good for cars. A slope is getting to that later when we do the tuning. And really just a controllable brain. It's all controlled through the computer. And then once you're done setting up a bunch of settings, a bunch of configurations the way you like it, I can install this if I choose. I may or may not, I'm not sure. To the front of the car. This will allow me to kind of change between the different presets, change my volume control, my bounce, my fader, and a couple of other little things. May not install this, as I mentioned. I like to keep things stock in the car and looking good. The benefit to having something like this is that the head unit stereo in the car, when you turn up the volume, might add more characteristics to the sound, whereas this is turning up the volume and controlling everything from the DSP unit here, which means that it's going to be literally just decibel increase with no characteristics. So this is still on the fence. I'm still debating what I'm going to do with that. I will let you know once I do some testing. So let's put this one aside and go to the beasts. This is probably what I'm most excited about. This is very hard to do with one hand. I need to consider a different way of getting video done. Okay, this is a Audison Thesis Quattro 4-channel Class A amplifier. It's got a lot of output. It's saying 1400 watts in total. I think that's a little bit underrated with these guys. If without getting into the science of the different classes of amps, there's Class A, Class B, Class AB, Class D, there's even a Class G and F. But once again, staying, into the digital domain, this amp allows me to take the digital audio signal from the DSP processor, the processor that I just showed you, the bit 1, and actually connect it directly into this amp. This baby is huge, it's heavy, it's going to slow me down, but it's worth it for the audio quality it's going to put out. This amp allows me to control and get pretty tight into the sound if I didn't want to use a DSP. As a matter of fact, there's a bunch of circuitry that comes with this. I think I just opened this upside down. There's a bunch of circuitry that comes with this that basically allows you to plug in these modules. It's pretty crazy, actually. Plug in these modules to filter out and filter and do what you want with the sound. I choose to use the DSP in this scenario. Won't be using those. I would suspect that most people using a DSP wouldn't use these. At any rate, this is a 4-channel amplifier. So just very quickly, very quickly, sorry about the shaky camera there, on the setup that I'm doing in the Jaguar, there's a couple of options that could be done. There's running the speakers active. That means every single channel, every single speaker, so in my case, the front speakers, there's 6 of them, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. A set of tweeters, a set of mids, and a set of subs. They would run directly into the DSP and then have an individual channel, amplified channel for each. The benefit to this is that you can fine tune the hell out of those speakers. You can make them sound any way you want. You're not confined to anything from the manufacturer, and it really is probably the best way to go if you're asking my opinion. The other option is to use the Morel speakers crossovers, the crossovers that came with the set. It's a 3-way crossover. And going into that a little bit more deep, the 3-way crossover allows you to do something called bi-amped. That means that I can take from my 4-channel amplifier, take 2 signals from here and put it to the subs, and 2 other signals to run to the mids and the highs. Once again, the benefit of that is that you're able to configure and tune and do a bunch of things to the audio that's coming out of there to more detail. The third option, which is what I have chosen to go with, is to use the crossovers that came with the speakers and run them all from 2 channels. So essentially, I'm going to take 2 channels from my 4-channel amplifier and run them to the inputs of the crossovers, pardon me, and then basically use 3 channels out to 3 channels out to the speakers. Now, the crossovers that came with the unit are quite high quality. There's very good components inside, very good parts. You can tune that crossover just a little bit, raise different levels on different speakers, and I will still have the ability to equalize and put delays to the speakers through the DSP. The reason why I chose to go this method instead of a bi-amp to the crossovers is that I want the 2 other channels potentially to put 2 subwoofers in the car. This is, like I said, this is a very powerful amp. It's going to run smaller subwoofers. We're not talking huge 15, 18-inch subwoofers. We're needing a lot of space. These are inside the car, behind the chair, 8-inch. They don't take a lot of power, and they're going to sound great with this amp. So that's the way I chose to do this, mainly because these are really expensive. I think these retail about $5,000 Canadian, somewhere around there, and they're very heavy. So if I were to go with the other method where I can use 4 channels from this amp to bi-amp into the front speakers, and then get a 2-channel of this, or a 4-channel, or a mono amp, it's more money, it's more weight in my car, I have limited room. So this was really the best way to do this. So that is all, basically, it's all choice, it's all what works best for you. In this case, this is what I'm doing. So I am excited to hear this. I'm going to start on the panel removal and wiring job and take some video along the way for that for you guys. Talk to you soon. Just wanted to do a quick video of the removal of the panels in the trunk area. So this took me all of 5 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. Clips here and there, broke a few clips, but they're very cheap and easy to replace. It's going to happen with these types of round clips that go in here, but I'll definitely get some more from the dealership. As you can see, it's still not a lot of area to deal with, but the good news is that right down here is the battery. So for my main power wire coming into the car, I'm going to draw it right from here. There's even a pole I can screw right in there. It's already right there. It's already ready for me to attach a wire to, so that's really good. And then the other plus is that the fuse box, or at least one fuse box, is sitting here in the trunk, so I can tie into my. I'm going to need the remote power turn on. I only need one in, and then every of those items I just showed you has a remote out, so it kind of loops right through. But yeah, so it's right here, so I'll grab whatever I need to grab from this, and I believe, if we just look right over here in that corner, that is where all my wires will be coming through. There's a big strut or shock or something that's, I don't know if it's a sway bar, but on the other side, it's kind of big. But this is where all the wires are going to be fed through. I can already see the square cap. It's a lot bigger than just this area. So I'll make some room for wires. And yeah, now onto the back of the car panel removal. That's going to be a mystery to me, but hopefully it's as simple as this. Wow. So a lot of panels needed to come off here. I don't even think this video is quite showing what I went through. So just for those of you who don't have the instructions and are planning to do this, try to explain this the best I can. So there's 2 carpeted panels that come and cover this with the speaker grills. Pretty easy to see. It's 2 pieces. They are clipped in to various areas around the chassis here. And then the seat belt holder just needs to kind of be unclipped as well. A couple of clips to pull it out. Once you are very tight in here. Once you are out of here and you have those panels out, there are going to be these 4. Well, there's 2 on this side and 2 on this side. There's actually a clamp that goes as part of this, a long bolts, and these essentially hold in the I don't know what they're called, the back circles that go behind the seat. Take the windscreen out first, just makes life a lot easier. But yeah, it's going to be the same for this side as well. So you got your 2 bolts there, 2 bolts there, and now here we are. This is the Sirius. Oh, I'm sorry. There's also a plastic vent piece here. This actually vents the amp and the everything. I thought it was vents for the car, but it actually is just to keep everything cool here. So this is the amp, Land Rover Jaguar. This is the Sirius console. There's a antenna adapter, attenuator in here. So now the next step is going to be to remove all this stuff. This is going to be fun as hell. At first glance, I don't see the fiber optic cable that I need, but I will dig deeper. Battery is disconnected. Please make sure you do that. All right, so we ran into a snag, and for me, it's kind of a bigger snag than it is a smaller one. In an earlier video, I had mentioned that we want to keep this completely in the digital domain by using most MOST fiber optic systems. It turns out that this car does not have fiber optics. On the website where I bought the unit, it said 2013 plus. After some deeper investigation, it turns out that in 2016 they changed it, and so I'm kind of SOL with that, and that really sucks. So that means I have to go to something I mentioned earlier called the JL fix, and real simple, what this does is it takes the signal that's coming out of the amplifier, puts it into a processor computer, and flattens out the entire signal and entire sound so that it's a usable signal. And I just hope, I mean, it's got rave reviews. Everyone's using them now who doesn't want to change their head unit in the front of the car and change stock stuff. So I really hope that this actually does its job and I get the sound quality I'm looking for out of this lovely audio upgrade. Now, the good news is that this is probably, and I don't know if you could see this in here, probably the very first convertible I've ever had where I need to put wires from when I'm putting wires from in the car to the other side of the convertible. It is a pain in the ass. There's usually no place to put it. Right there, large hole, lots of wires can go through there. I can wrap up the wires, put shrink wrap around it, heat shrink around it. I can make sure they're all isolated. So that's a good piece of news. So that makes me really happy. I'm going to go and start on this next step, which is probably going to take me quite some time. These are the wires coming out of the amplifier. I'm hoping that these are the right ones. I need to get every single wire on here and figure out which is going to which speaker. Once I find out which wire is doing what, I will connect it to an audio pop signal and then use my app that I have on my phone to check the polarity, and then run it through and label the wire. I got to do this for each one times 6 speakers. Technically that's 12 wires. What a pain in the ass it is. But we want to do it right, and this is kind of like picking a coded lock and trying to figure out, what combination goes to what. So I will update with another video shortly and let you know my progress, and I will document anything I possibly can on the wiring colors and speaker associations, so that whoever's doing this next doesn't go through the same pain I have to go through now. Okay, we're back once again, and just kind of an update on the wiring situation. I've gone through each of these harnesses and picked out which wire goes to which speaker. There's definitely a lot more wires than there are speakers, so I went in there. I decided that I'm going to do the polarity tests for each speaker after. It's just really awkward. There's no power in the car, and the microphone from the app needs to be from the phone that I'm using. My cell phone has an app on it. Needs to be pretty close to the speaker, and I can't move the seats because the battery's disconnected. So I'm just going to connect the wires now, and do the polarity test after. Now, this, what I've done here is I've taken heat shrink, I got it right this time, heat shrink, and bundled 3 different sets of wires. So in each one there's a red and a black. Typically, you know, in standard car audio installation, black is left and red is always right. Sometimes black could be white, it could be gray, it could be different colors, but for the most part, red is always right. So I'm trying to keep a standard and keep things pretty pretty clear and clean, just in case I need to get in there again. So I've wrapped these lengths of wires that are going to the back of the car. And what I'll do is, once I have these all set and connected and everything back in place, I will actually take my heater and put my heater around these and mold them into the car's body so they don't get in the way or they're not pushing out, and they're pretty safe in there. So that being said, I've done 3 sets of wires. So I've done a blue set, a red and black, and a black set here, and that's the same for the other side. So now I know. I've also had my lovely wife help me out with some notes while I was doing all this testing. So I have the wiring diagrams, or the wiring colors that go to each speaker. So as you can see, this is my output to the speakers. Well, it's going to be the input and the output is going to be the same, but so I have black left, as I just mentioned, and red right. And I've assigned colors to those. So the tweeters, the mids, and the subs all have colors, and they'll coordinate with the with what I'm going to be taking from the harnesses here. I've also run a here it is. It's still stuck back there, but this is a, oops, I think I just lost it. There we go. I think there's a 12 pole or 12 wire harness, 12 wire harness. So it's nice and neat, just like I'm doing with this, the heat shrink here. Kind of, you can buy this wire. It's typically used for you know, more commercial or industrial install, but there's 12 on here. I do have stuff that's made for car audio. That's only 9 wires. This is 12, which is exactly what I need for for this install. Since there's 6 speakers, 2 wires each, positive and negative, that equals 12. So this line will be for my input to the JL Fix. So that's the device that's going to clean up all the audio and make the linear line across all the audio. Once again, I'll get into that a little bit later. And these will be to the speakers. So what I'm going to do right now is very carefully snap the coordinating wires, attach them to where I need to go. There'll be one set of wires coming to the inputs, and the other one's going directly to the speakers. I'll check in a little bit later and let you know my progress. Okay, so I didn't actually take a video of the wires being connected, but it's kind of boring, so it doesn't really matter. Wires are all connected for the lines to go to the speakers, and also the line that's going to go to the JL Fix for the signal processing. So everything's back in place, nice, neat, clean. Everything's good here. Speakers are in the doors. And right now I've been working on putting the trunk space back together. Got all my wires set up. So I have down here it's hard to see here, a power wire. It's going to connect to this right here, this terminal right here. The ground was actually really nice ground. You can't see it. I put the piece back in place here, but there's actually like a nice long ground point that the battery, this pole connects to right to the car. And then there was another, like a screw hole sticking up with a 10 mil on there. So I was able to ground the all the audio equipment right to the ground. It was really nice. It was really easy. Have my, let's see if we can take a look in here. So I did have to cut a couple of holes into the back of the carpet just to allow it. There was just no space, zero space whatsoever. So I cut one for the power wires and the trigger wire right there, and then on the other side to allow the speaker wires. These will have to be cut down. They're way too long. And also did the connections, that little piece right there, for the JL Fix unit, which is right here. So the next step basically is I'm going to clean out this trunk from all the wires, give it a little vacuum, put in the last piece that goes right over in here, and then start connecting all the equipment. I did do a input polarity test. I got all my wires all set up there for the right polarity to go into the unit. I still have to do the speaker polarity test. Actually, was quite impressed with the fact that I kind of tried to figure out and crack their code, and I did it 9 out of 10. So I got, or however many wires there were. I got one backwards, but I was able to fix that, and it's fixed within that harness right there. If I had documented a little bit better, and I'll show you what I mean here. So I have taken, this is the JL Fix. So as you could see, orange and orange black, channel 3 left, blah, blah, plus, minus, that's the important thing. So what I didn't do here, and this is just so you can learn from your mistakes, is the output. Where are we here? Right here. So because I was able to connect to the input and get the plus and minus and everything I need to do, these are the speaker wires. These are the wires that are going to the speakers. If I had just marked down, actually, I think it's on this piece right here. If I had just marked down, I put orange, black. If I had just actually marked which wire went to which one, then I wouldn't have to do the polarity check. But unfortunately, I didn't do that. So, but it's better to be safe than sorry. The way I'm going to do it anyways, it's going to confirm everything 100%. Then I don't need to worry about anything. So the next piece here is just to finish off all the wiring and put the equipment in, put the trunk back together, put the equipment in, and then we're going to be off to the sound testing. Probably won't do videos for that, as there's really not a lot to do. There's it's all audible, which you won't be able to hear through your phone or speakers the way I hear it, and a lot of just back and forth computer and this and that. But this pretty much finishes up the install. The only things that I will videotape later on down the line is putting the 2 subwoofers in the back behind the seats, the fiberglassing, and probably building an amp rack, an equipment rack back in this little area here. So that's it for now. Feel free to leave comments, ask questions, and I'll be able to answer as best I can.